We know that Donald Trump is a racist. We know he is because he's shown over and over again that he has been a racist, that he is a racist. But this just confirms everything we know. One of his latest executive orders, restoring truth and sanity to American history. Truth and sanity. Two words that never describe Donald Trump or his followers. Those two words don't even belong in the same sentence when describing Donald Trump and his followers. Now I'm going to read you the first paragraph of his executive order, and quite honestly, it's pretty damning, at least for him. Section 1, Purpose and Policy. Over the past decade, Americans have witnessed a concerted and widespread effort to rewrite our nation's history. That is a lie. Replacing objective facts with a distorted narrative driven by ideology rather than truth. That is a lie. This revisionist movement seeks to undermine the remarkable achievements of the United States by casting its founding principles and historical milestones in a negative light. That is a lie. Under this historical revision, our nation's unparalleled legacy of advancing liberty and individual rights and human happiness is reconstructed as inherently racist, sexist, oppressive, and otherwise irredeemably flawed. That is a lie. Rather than focusing on unity and deeper understanding of our shared past, the widespread effort to rewrite history depends on societal divides, and fosters a sense of national shame, disregarding the progress that America has made and the ideals that continue to inspire millions around the globe. All of this in that executive order is a lie. And we already know what his primary target is. The Smithsonian's African American Museum of History and Culture in Washington, D.C., at the Washington Mall. We know that that's the primary target because no one in the MAGA wants to acknowledge the true history of this country. Now, I love my country, but I'm not going to just sit back and say everything was good, everything was roses, everything was beautiful. When we know that this country's history was written in blood, built by slaves, founded on the dead bodies of Native Americans. Let us not fool each other on that. But no, Donald Trump and his MAGA supporters want to feed us the BS lie that everything was good, great, and wonderful when this country was founded. That is a lie. And anyone who's ever picked up a book or watched the miniseries Roots or looked or actually paid attention in history class, not the Rosie Palm history class, the real history class, you would understand that this country has had some great moments, but it also has had some incredibly destructive, dark moments. And I'm sorry that's not really the sunshine and roses history that Donald Trump obviously wants to create. But that is unfortunately the truth. It really is the truth. And it's unfortunate that people like Donald Trump, this is his focus. Our economy is tanking. Stock prices are tanking. He is threatening war with almost every one of our allies, whether it's economical or bullets and bombs. And with new tariffs about to be assigned in the next few days, things are going to get worse. But your number one priority is whitewashing American history? This is where your focus is. This is truly where your focus is. Your focus is on whitewashing our history because you can't take the fact that people of color have built, bled, sweat, defended this country for generations. That is what's bothering you? That Martin Luther King made a speech on the National Mall where more people went to hear him speak about unity in this country than you have ever done in your whole miserable life, Trump. It bothers you. It angers you that people like the Tuskegee Airmen, African American and Army Air Force pilots, had the balls, had the guts, had the bravery and the fortitude to fight for a country that actively hated them. I mean, you couldn't even show up to fight for your country in Vietnam or bravely stood against the war. It must bother you. It must rot you to the core that people of color are stronger, better, honorable than people like you and the rest of the MAGA. It must bother you that history exists. Several years ago, I went to that museum in Washington, D.C. It was probably one of the most spiritual moments I've ever had in my life, looking at the history of the African American in this nation. The pride I felt at our achievements, the sadness I felt being reminded of how this country degraded us for generations. So tell me this, Trump. What exactly are you targeting that you say is divisive? Are you saying it's divisive to learn that Jim Crow laws targeting African Americans existed in this country? The same kind of Jim Crow laws you're trying to put back into place? Are you angry that we learned about what African Americans in chains, in slave labor? Is that what you're angry about us learning about? Are you angry of the fact that we learned in this country that African Americans were lynched, executed for something as small as glancing at a white girl? Are you saying that you're angry that we know our history, that you're trying to cover up? See, we're not sowing division. We're learning our history. There's an old saying, those who don't learn from the past are doomed to repeat it. The shameful history of America's past, the slavery, the lynchings, the rapings, the murders, things that people like you wouldn't understand because you haven't read a history book ever in your miserable life, things that you don't understand because you never felt that kind of prejudice. Being hated because you're a different race, a different religion. You never felt those things, Trump, but you are bringing it all back to us. And yes, you are. We saw it all 4 years of your first administration, and we've seen it over the last 3 months of this administration. We are seeing you ripping this country apart through racism, through religion, through the hatred that you created in this country. You have a Secretary of Defense who's trying to whitewash American military history, who's actively trying to wipe out the achievements of people of color, from the Tuskegee Airmen to the Marine Corps Corporal Ira Hayes. You have a Secretary of Defense trying to whitewash our history. That's you creating division, Trump, not us, not the Smithsonian, not history. You are doing that. You've created you have never brought unity to this country. And reading that executive order, at least the first paragraph of it, I don't even have to read the rest of it because it's full of lies. And I don't think you are even capable of telling the truth if God himself was staring at you in the face. You are a liar. You are a divider. And so help me God, Trump, you are not going to get away with this one. Now, you can target all the Smithsonian museums, all the classrooms, all you want. But in the end of the day, history will be written that you weren't a uniter. You weren't even a president. You were nothing more than a divider. You were nothing more than a hater. And so help me God, you will not get away with it. History will remember you as a president who did make America great again. You will go down in American lore as the punk, the thug, the traitor who burnt this country and everything it stood for, everything we fought for, everything that it's supposed to stand for, to the ground. May God forgive you, because no one who really believes in this country should ever forgive you for the sin of what you've done, Trump. Never again. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.